better, faster, cheaper. And why not? Also happier. That is what we all desire. And how is then possible that 2/3 of our effort does not really bring a value? I was actually shocked when I saw the website of the conference when Microsoft Research stated that 66% of our time, of our effort and hard work goes to waste. So how is this possible? We have our teams, development and design teams are as professional as they've ever been. Like, we really have a great people. They have a good education, they are well paid, they are motivated and highly engaged. Our offices look like they are really amazing. They are coming from the feed of the Pinterest almost. And still, nothing really works. Like 66% is a waste. So how is that possible? And the most importantly, what we can do about it. I'm Sonja Radenkovic. I'm head of UX design at TomTom. And my job is to get millions of people around the world to their destination in a safe and efficient way. And when I say efficient, I mean, I really want them to spend less time in traffic. And I would be really happy if we can eliminate traffic altogether so that our environment gets better and emission goes down. So today, I will share you what I learned from my 9 years at TomTom. I had a lot of opportunity to experiment. I had a lot of opportunity to try, fail, sometimes succeed, same as TomTom. So TomTom was always been about helping people to go from A to B on the wheels in a safe, fast, and easy way. We became successful thanks to our navigation devices, which your parents probably used, or if you're old enough as me, you also tried it. But then everything changed. The mobile phone arrived, and all these single-purpose devices were not needed anymore. We had our phones. We don't need other stuff. So let's just take your wristwatch as example. So how many of you are still using a wristwatch? Not Apple Watch? And how many of you are actually using it to check the time? Not much. So TomTom needed to pivot and reinvent himself. And from the product company, we became software company. But we stay close to our roots. We have a close relationship with our drivers, with drivers around the world, because, and they were our source of innovation and inspiration for innovation. We have enormous treasure. We know drivers better than anyone, almost better than anyone, because we have driven 1 trillion kilometers together. And if you think what is trillion, is it too much? Is it too small? I don't know what is trillion. Trillion is the amount of kilometers you need to go to the Neptune and back 40 times. It's kind of impressive number. So today, we are location technology experts, and our easy-to-use navigation is part of many car brands. Together, we are actually exploring and trying to make the autonomous driving a future a reality. So I'm happy to present you a Trillion. This is our own autonomous car that drive today on the streets of Berlin and help us to test our high-definition maps. High-definition maps are important and necessary for the autonomous driving. Actually, there are two lines of thoughts. You have a Tesla thought, which actually says, you know, you don't need a map. It's enough to have sensors. If the sensors are big enough and good enough, you will be fine. We don't really believe in that because we think that you really need a map in order to drive safely. So TomTom is one of the 3 map companies in the world. They are creating maps for autonomous driving. One of them is here, one of them is Google, and TomTom then. So, in our opinion, prerogative for autonomous driving is to have high-definition 3D maps. And just to illustrate what I mean by that and why it's important, there is a small illustration, which is one of our campaigns, which actually explains that you really need a map, because with your sensors do not see around the corner, and that is important. So next to in order to get the safe and enjoyable drive, next to the maps, you will need real-time services like traffic or weather. And only then we can actually really make this autonomous driving a future, a reality. So, I truly believe that success is ability to change. But truly change. To change your leadership style, to change your organization models and your processes. And you need to change all three together, otherwise it will not work. And you cannot buy or copy somebody else's success. We can learn from each other, but each of our companies are different, and we need to find a way which works for us. What works for me does not necessarily work for you. So if I can condense everything I learned in only 2 words, which I like to share with you today, will be care and dare. Care. Care about your people. It's obvious, but it's really important. So know their passions, know their fears, find a way to support and build them and develop them over the time. But that is not enough. You need to be around them. And some of you, in the end of your career, will sometimes get the opportunity to get one of those executive offices, which are really great, but say no to them. That is what I did. Say no to them because just glass doors and open doors will not make you approachable. And there are 2 reasons why you should say no to this nice executive office. One is more obvious, like, of course, you will be in the middle of the group, you will be able to quickly check, steer and guide, exchange knowledge, exchange ideas, build a friendship, and you don't need to book a 1-hour meeting every time for such a thing. But the other one, a little bit less obvious, very important for your success, is that you will have a longer career. There will be no many people hunting you down just because they want your office. So say no to their office. Another one is I assume you all get great people, you did your best to hire them, but you need to choose a couple of them that you can actually rely on, because your product depends on them, but also your career. So you really need to trust them, and you need to get them and not look back. And so how you choose your stars? When I became a manager for the first time, I asked my more experienced colleague, which was my manager at the time, senior VP of a product, and asked him, okay, how I choose who to develop, how I choose who to promote, who I dare to put my career in hands. And he answered with a question, and I really remember it and actually guided me all the way from that day, and I want to share it with you. His question was, if your life would depend on it, who you will invite on boat together with you? And you know it, believe me, it's in your guts. You really know who you want on that boat. And these are your stars, these are your people that you can trust your career with and your product with. And partners, have a partners in crime. The partners in crime are not only your team members. In my case, that will be designers, but that does not bring a product out. Your partners in crime are your developers, your product managers, your product owners, your marketeers, everyone on that group. And for them to feel like they are partners in crime, they need to share the same vision as you. They need to see the same goal, and then the magic will happen. And especially in the times where the things are rough, where it's difficult, those people will just go ahead if they feel like they are partners in crime. So to summarize, care. Care about your people. Develop them, stay around them, have fun with them. That is a very important aspect. Don't just kind of do the job and have all hands once in a month. Try to organize breakfast, try to go for lunch. These fun moments, or have a cooking classes, whatever works for you, drinks, these moments do matter. Identify your stars. These are the people who will be examples for everyone else, and that will actually make things happen. And treat everyone on the product team as your partners in crime. And dare to constantly challenge your leadership style and change it. And what is the right leadership style, you would ask? We know that definitely is not command and control. We left all that behind us. We're all now supporting people. We're giving them autonomy, and we know the autonomy is needed there in order to get mastery to flourish. But not all teams are actually equally fitted to be autonomous. Autonomy needs to be deserved. So some of your people will be totally polarized if we will give them 100% autonomy. If they are young, if they're new on the projects, if they just change, if they're forming as a team, they will need a little bit of more guidance. So the right leadership style is actually adaptive leadership style. Lead, show a way, or just get out of the way, depends on what your team needs it. Sometimes doesn't matter how much effort, passion, hours, work you put in something. It just does not work. And when that happens, it's time for radical measures. And one of the radical measures I have in mind is kind of admitting that you don't know all, that you need help, allowing yourself to be vulnerable. So I will share one of my failures with you today. So I was in a similar situation a couple of years ago. That is where the TomTom was transforming, so being the consumer product company to the software company. And I was really supportive of this. I kind of saw the light. I knew that that is what we need to do. And I was working really hard to make that transition happen. And somehow my team really didn't buy it. There were all kind of people with, not really motivated, going around, leaving the company, having the chats around the coffee machine. And then we have the yearly, I don't know if you guys have it, but we have a yearly poll, like when you ask people how happy they are and how engaged they are. And my team scored worst ever. Like we were really on the bottom of the happiness ladder of TomTom. So that was really time for radical measures. I thought what I should be doing now. Okay. So I asked one external coach, woman, Gloria. I asked her, okay, what I should be doing now? Really, I cannot put more hours, I cannot put more energy. Why they are not seeing it? And she proposed a little bit unorthodox model. She said, let's try this. Let's ask everyone literally face to face, to rate you and all your managers on the scale from 1 to 10. And not just rate you and just get away with it. They also kind of need to do a little bit of the homework and think about things that you can do better and the things that you do already good, so you don't forget about those also. So it's a little bit orthodox model, and there was a couple of things that could go wrong with this. So one of them was I could just lose my job, because we also promised them, it will be totally transparent, so we will tell everyone what the results are. And you don't need to fear, because it will be 100%, we will not share with anybody who says what, so it will be anonymous, so you can totally say what you want. So this is what we did. And I'm going to follow that promise. So I said we are going to show results to anyone and everyone. So without further ado, these are my results. Is it good? Is it bad? I don't know. Because what I heard is that other people, not maybe people do such a thing, and even if they do, they don't really share it. So you don't know what is the normal score for a manager, like when you are a good manager, when you are kind of bad manager. But there are a couple of things that I could learn and that I learned from this. So if you can see, like in the middle part, the majority things like, okay, so. She can do something, but I'm not sure if it's really great. There are a couple of people, or actually big group, which realize, okay, she's actually really trying her best, and some things are really good, so they're acknowledging that effort. And there are a couple of people who are just saying, like, nah, she just doesn't know what they're doing. So your first instinct is to actually go and fix the red ones, because we don't want red, huh? So just go attack these two people and find, what you can do and what you can change to make them suddenly see the light, which is totally wrong. Because the amount of effort you will need to put to have these two people from the left to the right, it's huge. Probably never going to make it anyway, they made up their mind. But the amount of effort you need to put to get people in the middle, from the middle to the right, it's actually minor. As far as you get a good feedback, you're fine, and you act on it, it's probably going to happen. So what we did, this radical openness was rewarded. Like, they shared their opinions before, it's not about that. But just being vulnerable and daring to exposing was seen, was appreciated. So what we did, we collected the all input, like all things which bothered us, make the long list, prioritize it, and then ask everybody, if you feel like it's clear that the list is long, there is no way that your manager can fix it for you. So if you feel like, and you're passionate about any of those topics, just pick it and make it happen. And that is what they did. So they really start running with it. Whoever wanted to volunteer, do it. Who didn't want, we didn't push. But what happened is majority of people actually volunteered. And what is happening today is that that list is still long. We fixed a lot of things. And we still have a long way to go. And the list will probably never get empty, because the second we fix something else comes up. But there is this shared ownership. And we are all making it together, and that is really important. And the last thing I believe you should dare is to change, choose, or adapt your organizational design model. The company structure has bigger influence on your design and product that you think. Where you are in the food chain really influence how much, what you can do. And having the right organizational model which works for your team and your organization is important. So Ben Horowitz wrote, the first rule of organizational design is that all organizational designs are bad. And that is true, because you just optimize for one aspect and you then mitigate for other. So today I hear a lot that we optimize for speed, which is great, but we optimize for speed, sometimes we optimize for speed only. And optimizing for speed is great because we can get these things out, like our designs or our products, to the hands of the users. They can try it, we can learn, we can test, we can give it back, and we can improve it. So getting shit done fast is great. But the problem is that it seems like the 66% of that thing is kind of not bringing a value. So we are getting the wrong thing fast out. So we have a choice. If we must choose one, then we need to choose between the optimizing for value or optimizing for delivery. And optimizing for value means basically improving hypothesis. So that is where the design thinking or user-centered design play a role. So you think before you jump. optimizing for speed, we already talked about it. The problem with optimizing for speed also is you can recognize it when your designers start to feel like they're servants to development teams, or your user stories are broken in such a small chunks, which is fine by default, but nobody sees the bigger picture. Then you just really optimize it for wrong things. And the user experience suffers. So in my opinion, it's not about value versus delivery, it's value and delivery. So we need to optimize for both value and delivery. In this way, we will maybe get the right thing fast out. So I will share the organizational model that we have in TomTom when it comes to the user experience. So it's centralized partnership. It's one of the three models you probably know. You have the centralized UX, which is old-fashioned, everybody left it behind. You have embedded, which a lot of people do have, and that does work in the smaller teams. Again, that is when depends what works for you. But the larger and bigger organization is, the more embedded your designers are, the more your coherent experience, product experience will suffer, because there are dependencies. So for the user-centered design to flourish, we keep our designers close to each other. They collaborate as much as they can. And then they also collaborate vertically with the development team. So wherever they can, they sit next to them, but not all the time. So they are flash desks, they go in and out wherever works for them in whatever stage of the design that works. So this is my team. I have 40 designers. For some companies that is a lot, for some companies is a peanut. I know that Google has 200. And I would say we are very rich because we have 22 nationalities in a team, which means that is actually every second person has a different nationality. And we are based on 8 locations. But more importantly, we are based on 4 continents, which makes it really difficult to create coherent user experience. Because there is no 1 hour in a day that everybody is awake or can work together or in office. So how we compromise that? How we work to mitigate that? So we have focus teams. We divided them in 8. They are known as painters. And a level of autonomy varies between those teams. Some of them are totally autonomous, and some of them have codependency between them because working on the same products, so they work more collaboratively. And again, we have a couple of mechanisms to safeguard the holistic user experience, because we all know the devil is in the details. So there are a couple of them. There are 3 here. We have design critique. It's one of the systems, or one of the methods, which happens only within a group. So each group individually, without managers, without the hypos, actually manage to have this conversation. They come 2 times a week. They look each other designs, they comment on them, they try to help each other, they help junior designers to grow, they help new people to get the knowledge they need to know about the space they're working with, and they're just doing their best to get to move away the most obvious problems that each design potentially could have. So they are there to make the designers stronger and improve the design also. Then the second one is design review. Design review happens only with the smaller groups of per products. So we just invite people who are working on the product, but next to the designers, they are directly responsible for that part. We also invite head of this UX design, which is me in this case, and a chief product officer. And he really dedicates his time, like he spends every Monday, all day in those meetings, when one after each other we go through those products. And we invite product managers, because that is the moment where we can look like, is it ambition on the level we want it to be? We trust the designs will be fine, and they're probably achievable because designers worked in the meantime together with developers and product owners and engineering and architects to figure out what they can make within a given time. But we challenge ambition, and then we see that all these different products sometimes are not necessarily aligned, but actually often are not aligned, so at least we can pinpoint that. And the third one, which happens only when needed, but is really the one which is important, is the one we call hot topics. And we invite there, wherever there is a misalignment, difference in opinion, which you could imagine happens sometimes, we invite people who are part of that product. That could be like anyone of that product. Could be a product marketing manager, could be a product manager, the designer, architect, developer, like all people who are making that particular thing happen. And then what is the purpose of that meeting is at least to understand what are the trade-offs that we are making and understand each other. Hopefully sometimes we actually make some decisions, but the main purpose is really to understand all parts of the game so that we can act upon it. So to summarize, dare to change your leadership style, lead, guide, or just get out of the way. Dare to be radically open and vulnerable and say that you don't know anything, and people will help you. And take care about your organizational design, because how you organize does influence your product and it does matter. So if you optimize for both value and speed, this will be the past, hopefully the part of the past. I cannot promise you that we will have 0% of waste, but definitely it's not going to be 2/3. So I'm eager to hear what are your stories and what does work for you in your company. So please share and let's keep in touch. Thank you very much.